I am Dr. Syed Khadiruddin Chishti and I am teaching physics to BSc third year students. My today's topic is atom model. Atom model. And we know that in previous days, in olden days, people do not know what is an atom, whether it is divisible or not. It is not known to the people. So for the first time, Dalton in 1804 said that the smallest part of a material is atom, and this atom is further indivisible. So he said that the smallest part of the atom of the material is atom, which is indivisible. He used the law of conservation of masses. He used the law of conservation of masses. But this theory has been failed. This theory has been failed because this theory does not describe about the charges, whether there is positive charge or negative charge. It is not described by the theory. Therefore, in 1900, Thomson came forward and he proposed his plum pudding model. Plum pudding model. It is also known as watermelon model, also called as the watermelon model. And he said that the atom is divisible and it is just like a pudding in which the charges are distributed randomly, just like the nuts which are distributed all over the pudding. So randomly charges are distributed. There may be positive charges or there may be negative charges. And he also said that this model can be compared with the watermelon model. If we take the cross section of a watermelon, then the seeds of the watermelon will appear over the cross section in a random fashion, and these seeds, the electrons or the positive charges or the charges which are embedded in an atom just like the seeds of the watermelon. But the Thomson model also failed because he does not describe about the nucleus of the electron and nucleus of the atom, or whether the electrons are revolving or at rest, whether the positive charges are at rest. So it does not describe the atom precisely. Therefore, in 1911, Rutherford came forward and he proposed his theory, Rutherford model. And in this model, he said that inside an atom there is a positively charged nucleus and the electrons are revolving around the nucleus in the circular orbit. Electrons are revolving around the nucleus in the circular orbit. And the total charge on an atom is neutral, means the total number of the positive charges are equal to the total number of the negative charges, and atom as a whole is a neutral particle. This model is also called as the solar model. It is also called as the solar model because in solar system we know that the sun is at the center and all the planets are revolving around the sun in the circular orbits. So in the same fashion, here nucleus is at the center and all the electrons are revolving around the nucleus. So this model gives the sufficiently good information about the atom. But the Rutherford unable to explain why the electrons are continuously revolving around the nucleus in the circular orbit, because the classical theory said that when a charge is in motion, it should radiate the energy, and when a charge is radiating the energy, it should come to the lower orbit, and in this way the radius of the orbit should decrease and a time should come that the electron should fall onto the positively charged nucleus. But in practice it is not happening. Therefore, electrons are stable and they are revolving continuously in a given orbit around the nucleus. They are not falling down to the nucleus. Therefore, in 1913, Niels Bohr came forward and he proposed his own theory, and he has given the satisfactory explanation of the motion of the electron. So come to the Bohr's theory, Niels Bohr's theory. He has given the three postulates. The first postulate about the hydrogen atom, when there is one electron and one proton, means one nucleus and one electron. And he said that when electron is revolving around the nucleus in the circular orbit, centripetal force is required, and this centripetal force is provided by means of the electrostatic force of attraction between the positively charged nucleus and negatively charged electron. So he said that the centripetal force is equal to the electrostatic force of attraction between the positively charged nucleus and the electron. So formula for centripetal force is mv square by r, and for electrostatic force it is, for hydrogen atom, z is equal to 1, therefore it is E square upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r square, electrostatic force. This is the first postulate, that the necessary centripetal force is given by the electrostatic force. Now he has given the another postulate, that electron can revolve only in those orbits whose angular momentum is integral multiple of h upon 2 pi. So he said that the angular momentum of the electron is integral multiple of h upon 2 pi, where n is 1, 2, 3 and so on. And h is Planck's constant. The value of the Planck's constant is 6.63 10 to the power minus 34 joule second. So angular momentum L is equal to nh upon 2 pi. It means that the electron will revolve only in the fixed orbit and they will not jump directly, but when their energy is get lowered, then they will jump from the second orbit to the first, and the angular momentum of that orbit should be equal to h upon 2 pi. Higher orbit 2h upon 2 pi, 3h upon 2 pi, not 1.5, not the fractional number. Now he has given the another postulate, third postulate, and he said that when an electron jumps from the higher orbit to the lower orbit, third postulate, here is the higher orbit, here is the lower orbit, energy in the higher orbit is En, energy in the lower orbit is suppose Ep. When an electron jumps from the higher orbit to lower orbit, it radiates the energy in the form of the electromagnetic waves, and it should be equal to h nu. So he said that when electron jumps from the higher orbit to the lower orbit, that is En minus Ep is equal to h nu, where h is Planck's constant and nu is the frequency of the waves. Nu is frequency and h is Planck's constant. So these are the postulates. These postulates give the satisfactory explanation of why the electrons are revolving around the nucleus. Thank you.